This segment of the Sports Narrative Radio Show is backed by Xena Communications. Internet, Wi-Fi, IT, cloud services, and security cameras. Get connected in your home or office today. Call or click for your free consultation in the DFW area.
So, gentlemen, we've had some interesting things happening in the world of sports, and our opening segment here is always a little bit more of a broad-scape discussion about the world of sports before we dive into the nitty-gritty, because that's what we do that ESPN doesn't, is that we will bring you... You can leave that going there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just leave that bad boy going there. We like to take a little bit of a broader look at sports and put things into perspective. So this week, and in the last couple of weeks, we have had quite a few incidents of fans getting injured at sporting events.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this week, the big and probably the most fantastical version was, of course, at Daytona this week of the NASCAR race. As you've got the green-white checker to end the race, and all the cars are bunched up, and things go horribly wrong for one Mr. Austin Dillon, as he gets loose, gets airborne, flies over several cars, and crashes into the safety fence, bounces off the track, then gets hit by another car, which I just, at that point, bust out laughing, because...
Oh, that's hard to laugh at.
Oh, the guy was fine. So
you didn't know that at the time.
No, when I'm watching it in replay, I knew he was fine, and you just watch.
Wait,
like,
did you
the car lands.
Wait, did you laugh at when it was live or
No, this was
replay?
in the replay.
Okay,
After
I was
knew
gonna
it
say
was okay.
you don't watch NASCAR.
The car lands. It's on the track. It's just, I mean, literally nothing left. The engine is in the midfield, and another car just blank. I'm like, dude. So, but Austin Dillon walks away without a scratch. I mean, basically a bruised tailbone.
I know, but there was probably 6 to 8 fans that went to the hospital.
However, yes, there were actually almost 11 fans. Several refused treatment. Some
More
of you
after.
went to the hospital. I have to say...
Any rumor that they refused treatment because they couldn't take their Confederate flags with them to the emergency room?
No rumor, no truth to that rumor.
They had their cooler with them. They couldn't take their beer in.
Exactly.
So.
They did not let them take
that's what they
the
got.
Coors Light.
Beer, Confederate flag.
So, yes.
Second week in a row, Confederate flag.
But you got to say, and maybe more later. You never know. We've got the Mick coming later. But it's interesting that, you know, the safety fence did what it was supposed to do. It took a full-on car going 200 miles an hour right into the thing and kept it out of the stands.
It worked. When no one died, it worked.
You know, maybe they should have put these up at Jurassic World. I'm just throwing it out there. But maybe you could keep a T-Rex out or whatever that thing was. Anyway.
Indominus Rex, sir.
There you go. Yeah.
It's just a major plot point. Don't worry about it.
That's an awful movie. All right, so, but like I said, it did manage to keep it safe. However, it also injured several fans. Well, then we've also had the events at Fenway, among other places. We actually had one last night of a fan taking a shot, taking a line drive, basically off the face.
Yep.
But of course, the event in Fenway. Where you had Tanya Carpenter and the bat shatters.
Bat to the face.
Takes the bat to the face.
And we threw a number out there when we talked about that a few weeks ago. And, yeah, it was like 1,900-plus people every year get injured by something, foul ball, bat, whatever, into the stands at Major League Baseball games. They don't all go to the hospital or whatever,
right.
But that's the reported incidents based on the teams.
It's, and it's amazing. So then, of course, the talk has been, and we actually kind of kicked it around a little bit, about netting in baseball and whether or not, you know, you've got the netting kind of behind, the backstop, but does that need to go all the way around, much like it is in hockey? And so where I want to start with this before we get into some of the individual stuff is, what is a fan's expectations of safety going to a sporting event? If you read the back of your ticket stub, it tells you, hey, you're at an event that you are taking responsibility, and blah, blah, blah. But in the very litigious society that we have now, Snopes, what is your thoughts on what's a fan's expectation of safety?
Well, honestly, when you go into a game, you expect to come out like the way you walked in. The problem is, anytime you go to a game, you can even look around like, oh, pass the nachos. You got to pay it, especially in baseball. If you sit that close, if you're not paying attention to every single pitch, you might get hurt.
You know, and I went to a game recently with a friend of mine and his young son, and I had my daughter there, and it is amazing. And, you know, he doesn't go to a lot of baseball games. It's his son's 4 years old.
Right.
And I could tell that there was not a lot of attention that was being paid to the game that was being going on with him and his son. And you know, when you have a little kid, that's easy because you are distracted by the constant, I got to go to the bathroom, this, and that, right in the middle of the game. And so, you know, I was definitely had my radar up because I've gone to a lot more baseball games. So we're sitting down the first base side all the way down, thanks to G&K Services for those seats.
Very nice.
And, man, I had my head on a swivel. And there was one ball that came, and you know, I'm always the first person in the crowd to go, heads up, yell it out loud. And you see everyone just duck. They're not paying attention.
Yep.
It's amazing. It really is. And you can't force people to pay attention. Like, I've heard that as the solution. Well, you know, talk about fans paying attention.
Well, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
Well, you know, and like in hockey games, you know, they won't let you walk. You know, you had the incident a few years ago of the little girl that took the puck to the back of the head.
Yeah, like when the puck's in play, you can't get up and move.
I think it was in Tampa is where that happened. So yeah, now when the puck's in play, you're not supposed to turn your back to the ice. They don't let you walk down to your seats while action's going on. They hold you up there. And I have to say, it's, you know, it kind of sucks if you're the fans, but it's, you know, it's for your safety. And even though there is the big netting around it now, you know, it's still something there. We had the thing a couple weeks ago of the Cubs fan who made SportsCenter as he's holding his, you know, 6-month-old child and catching the baseball with the other hand.
That was a good catch.
It was a hell of a catch. But I would guarantee you that his mother probably immediately just berated him. And that's then there's
no, they're getting a divorce right now, I heard.
Yeah. But, you know, bringing a 6-month-old to a baseball game.
That's stupid. Unless
you
you're sitting in the upper deck.
And that's, you know, or, you know, like if you took a 5-year-old to a NASCAR event. You know, and not only, obviously, the debris is a thing, but the other thing about NASCAR, and you talk about this, and actually this is another point in all of safety in sports, is the noise level.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen this in the past, like Super Bowls. You see the players will have their young son on the field, and they'll have the earphones over their head to try to protect that hearing. You know, there are people, I've known people that have gone to NASCAR events not knowing what they were getting into, and either had to leave or got permanent hearing damage.
A well-known radio personality in Dallas, Junior Miller, has tinnitus.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's constant ringing in the ears. It never goes away.
Right.
You mean the guy that shows up and goes, oh, I don't need those $5 headphones?
Well, it's the same thing with him. It's the first time he'd ever been to a NASCAR event.
Right.
And I could easily, especially if you're in your 20s, you know, and you think you're invincible.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know?
Oh,
and your
how
first
many
time
of us
there
have not been to a concert or something where it's really
all the
loud,
time,
and you just, it's fine.
Yeah. Right next to the speaker as your ears are just being destroyed.
Yeah, you're sitting there the whole time. This is great.
So that's another thing is you know, you've got the noise at these games. You know, I mean, there are times where certain stadiums, you know, they talk about Seattle where it's as loud as a plane taking off, basically. And, you know, that kind of amped up. You know, places like Atlanta where they're piping in the crowd noise. But, you know, so that's another element to it, too. Not only just the actual, you know, stuff flying into the stands. You know, and on that point, we saw another one of LeBron James going flying into a camera crew at the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
So not only just the fan safety and the noise, but also the player's safety. You know, how often, or, you know, how easy could it be for a guy, you know, trying to run a fly ball? We saw, was it Josh Donaldson the other day, took that flying leap into the
literally
stands?
leaped into
And
the
he
stands.
almost did it again the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
The guy's fearless.
Hey, made him an all-star.
Yep.
More on that later. But you know, you look at that kind of thing. I mean,
And on that play, by the way, if you go back and you watch that replay in Tampa, he dives, interestingly enough, into a Blue Jays fan that was there. And there's a little kid right behind what I'm assuming is his dad, who his dad weighs about 250 at least.
Right.
And goes falling back into his kid. And you could
man.
see the reaction of the kid like, holy crap, what happened? And everyone, of course, came away okay from that. But there are some things that are unavoidable. And you're going to go to a sporting event,
and you are going to accept that there's a potential that I'm going to get hurt. Where we've got to figure out is where can we draw the line between what is unavoidable and what is avoidable to the point where you're not also killing the experience.
Find more by subscribing to this channel and visiting us at www.thesportsnarrative.com. Join us every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central for a live edition of the Sports Narrative Radio Show hosted by Xena Communications.